fresh off Survivor Series, and Raw's in with a clean sweep.
But what about the tag team?
Nah. Clean sweep. All right, and this is the Weekly Wrestling Cast. I'm Nick the Iceman.
And I'm Danny Marvelous.
And we had a interesting week.
Yeah, big week. 2 pay-per-views, and of course everything else, as usual. Got quite a lot to get into, so how about we just go ahead and hop right into news first?
All
right, so first off, I question whether we should even talk about this, but it's being talked about, so we might as well bring it up. Enzo Amore was at Survivor Series.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
He made a big scene during the tag team match between AOP and The Bar, and he of course gets kicked out, and he gets banned for life from the Staples Center. And he was, like, pumping up his, like, rap show, which was supposed to happen sometime after Survivor Series ended, and apparently some people went there, and like 35 people.
What a turnout. 35 whole people.
But yeah, so obviously lame as hell, but that's what happened. Then we have some issues with Ellsworth right now. I don't know if any of you've seen it, but there's a video, and I don't recommend seeing it at all, because I'm avoiding it like the plague. It's a video that has Ellsworth is licking his lips, and then he turns the camera around and reveals that he's touching himself. And there's a lot of people that are reporting that he was sent it to someone in particular, but nowhere else has been able to actually confirm that. So we're not even gonna mention the supposed controversy around it. But either way, it's still not good.
Yeah.
Then we had Braun Strowman has an injury, elbow injury, supposedly. So we've heard conflicting things about this, actually. I heard that it was aggravated at Survivor Series. You heard that he's been struggling with it
for a little while. Not really sure which.
Yeah, and supposedly it got even worse on Raw. It was worsened on Raw, which we'll talk about. But yeah, and then so he's dealing with that, though they don't expect him to miss like any TV time or anything like that. So then, last one is EC3. It was revealed that EC3 was slated to be brought up to the main roster already, but due to concussion issues, he's been remaining in NXT. So you might see him sooner rather than later. But yeah, so let's hop right into the first pay-per-view of the week. NXT Takeover.
War Games 2.
Hell yeah. So, this starts out with a great little segment. Matt Riddle comes walking out. Bro.
Apparently in the pre-show, which I think they showed the clip of on NXT this week.
They did.
Cassius Ohno gets on the mic over at the commentary table and is talking trash about everybody who's on this Matt Riddle bandwagon's a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
And there's no way you guys really think he could beat me. And then, so, fast forward to the beginning of War Games.
Yeah, Matt Riddle comes out and he says, Ohno is talking trash, so I'm not willing to wait for Wednesday. I'd have the match right now.
Everybody goes nuts.
Yeah, everybody's cheering like crazy.
Ono comes out and is like, I hope you remember the cheers you got in this moment, because you're not going to remember the match when I'm done knocking you out. Ring the bell. And like throws the mic and gets in the ring, and they square up. Bell rings. Flying knee from Riddle.
Just destroys him.
Flips him over. Pins him 1, 2, 3.
It was like within like 6 seconds or something like that. Probably one of the fastest matches on the Takeover.
It was so satisfying.
It really was. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like it buries Ono a little bit, but at the same time, we have this new guy, Riddle, and we want to pump him up, and seeing him just lay him out.
And it honestly, it has me a little bit excited that they're actually going to make like a feud out of it instead of them just like having beef, fighting once, then it being done. I would be down for them doing several matches with these guys, because seen them both in the ring, and I feel like it would be really good.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So
then the first actual match of the night.
It was Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. And it was 2 out of 3 falls. And started out kind of the way I expected. Shayna's buddies from UFC end up getting involved and causing Kairi to immediately get down a 1 fall.
And then they kind of do a back and forth. Kairi starts to get some momentum. She ends up getting a fall.
Yeah. She ends up getting a fall. She says 1-1. And then there's more interference. But that gets broken up by some of Kairi's friends this time.
Who were Dakota Kai and
Io Shirai makes her NXT debut.
Which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was really cool. Of course, she does that amazing moonsault off the top rope.
So good.
To the outside. So good. But yeah, despite everything, Kairi hits that insane elbow again, but Shayna rolls her up. 1, 2, 3. Shayna Baszler is still the NXT Women's Champion. Damn. I was a little upset, but it's the way it goes sometimes.
Well, now you know what needs to happen, right? We just need to do a 3v3 6-woman tag on NXT.
I would actually really enjoy that.
That would be so cool.
Then we had Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So then after
Yes, after that we had Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano.
This match was insane.
So good. It was really amazing.
Oh.
These two are probably two of the best wrestlers on the roster. I mean, and they're just going at it.
They had it cranked up to 11 for like 3/4 of this match. It was such a high octane match.
It really was, and just constant action. I was never really bored at all, like at any point during the match. It was just everything I wanted from this matchup.
There were so many good moments, so many impressive moves that had you, cheering or booing, depending on whose side you were
exactly. But of course, there were some great parts where Johnny Gargano gets ready to hit him with a super kick, and Aleister Black just sits down in the middle of the ring and says, "Give me what you got. Give me the best you got." Oh, it was so good.
So it ended up ending with Aleister Black essentially reading him his rights, just basically saying, like, I will end you, your sins are forgiven.
I'll admonish you of all your sins, yeah.
And then pulls down the knee brace and just lets him have it.
Ooh, so good. Of course, Aleister Black gets the win. He hits the Black Mass a second time. And 1, 2, 3, Aleister Black gets revenge for Johnny Gargano attacking him. Whew, this was good.
It was so good.
So good. But then we move on to the NXT Championship, which was between Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream.
This match was also insane.
It really was. It started out slow for me, but for the most part, immediately started amping up. They did some fighting outside of the ring too. There's a funny little spot where one of the announcers is criticizing Ciampa. And then as Ciampa's getting up outside the ring, he throws something at the announcer.
He just goes like a handful of papers or something.
Yeah, he just throws it straight into his face. He's just like, what, you think? Like, he just starts going off on this announcer. It was so good. Of course, Velveteen and Ciampa, they burn it down. Like, this match was amazing. Ends with a draping DDT on the metal divider, which was set up for War Games.
Yeah.
And holy crap, this was good. Ciampa gets the win, and he's still NXT champion.
And looks destroyed walking out of this match.
Yeah, but he still got the gold. But then we get to the main event. NXT War Games between the Undisputed Era versus the War Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne.
I very much liked the ensemble that the War Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne did. They all had the War Raiders paint.
Yeah, on their faces. Yeah.
Oh, it was so cool. Oh, this match was so good. They started off with Adam Cole and Ricochet, which we kind of figured they would.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because those two already have a rivalry, and they're probably the most seasoned out of the 8 people involved, I would say.
Definitely from the indies, of course. Yeah.
And so they, it starts off a little bit back and forth, and then because
Kyle O'Reilly got the win on NXT,
they get to bring in someone first. They actually brought in Kyle O'Reilly.
They were actually bringing Kyle. Of course, they just beat down on Ricochet for a little while.
And then when it's the other side's turn, you can tell there's some dispute between the War Raiders and Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
And Hanson, was it? It was Hanson, right?
was first, yeah.
Ends up kind of, with the help of his War Raider brother, end up holding back Pete Dunne, and Hanson goes out.
Mm-hmm. So, and then he immediately is game changer. Thanks to him and Ricochet start beating down on Undisputed Era, and then they let in Undisputed Era brings in Roderick Strong. And, of course, once again, they turn the tide. 3-on-2, what do you expect?
There's a little bit of sway back and forth, but for the most part, it's the advantage the Undisputed Era got.
Lots of backbreakers, as is Roderick Strong style.
Oh, yeah. And then Undisputed Era, War Raiders and Pete Dunne are the only two left in their side. And again, they have a dispute.
Yep, Pete Dunne gets left in the cage. And so we got both War Raiders in the ring.
And then they just sway the tide because the two of them are very synergistic.
Mm-hmm.
They're two big dudes. The two biggest dudes in this match.
Yeah. They just roll over these guys.
So then Bobby Fish gets let out for Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
And he takes the padlock off of his side of his cage.
With the key that the ref just used to unlock it.
And locks Pete Dunne's cage a second time and hucks the key out in the audience.
So, at this point, Pete Dunne can't get out, even at his allotted time.
And then 4 Undisputed Era folding chairs get thrown into the ring by Bobby Fish.
They just wreck them.
And then, it just is a slaughter.
Just chair shots everywhere.
For some reason, in the 3 minutes between when Bobby Fish entered and when Pete Dunne was supposed to be let out, no one thought to go get bolt cutters.
Yeah. The ref was like, my key doesn't work on this one. It's like, of course it doesn't work on that one.
So then, after time is supposed to be called for him to enter, someone then leaves. It's probably another minute or two before they come back with bolt cutters.
They open the cage. Pete Dunne walks out, and by the way, Pete Dunne has been fighting off an injury.
Yeah,
which is why his leg was bandaged up. They didn't, of course, talk about that on NXT at all. So
yeah, you can tell his knee is bandaged up a little. So he marches down to the ring, throws the gate open, and just starts hucking shit into the ring.
Trash cans.
Kendo
sticks, and
tables.
He gets out the tables.
2 tables,
which of course get used later in the match, and
then he grabs his own kendo stick and just steps into the ring.
Yep, and they get the advantage for a little while, and there's some really great moments. Of course, War Game officially begins then. Whoever's the first pin, is that team loses, and there's some great moments. Putting Bobby Fish spearing the War Raider through the table is a great one.
There was a couple of cool tag team style moments where you had Ricochet and Pete Dunne on the corners of the ring, both flipping people off.
Yep.
And the same with the War Raiders, where they both got suplexes off the top also.
Mm-hmm. Hanson hit Kyle O'Reilly through a table as well, which was particularly great. So Kyle O'Reilly has an armbar on Ricochet on the table, and he's just holding on to this thing. And from the second ring, Hanson hits the top rope and is able to basically frog splash him through the table. And then, of course, at the end, both Pete Dunne and Ricochet... Oh, wait. First Ricochet, there's that first suplex kind of power bomb that hits Adam Cole.
Yeah, they all are up on the side of the cell, and all 8 of them kind of get entangled up, and Ricochet manages to pull away just as they all fall.
Yep.
And then from the top of the cage, Ricochet does a
I think it's a moonsault.
It was just like it was like a flipping moonsault. He got one full rotation out of it.
Yeah. It wasn't quite his. It was supposed to be kind of like his finisher.
Yeah,
but it wasn't exactly what.
But he started it like a moonsault instead of just a dive.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if he did his actual finisher from that height, he would just be dead.
And he ended up taking them all out.
Yeah, and of course, then at the very end, Ricochet and Pete Dunne hit their finishers on
Adam Cole. Ricochet comes out of nowhere. The way the screen's framed, you see Pete Dunne and Adam Cole going at it on the ground. Yeah. Pete Dunne hits his finisher, and then you just see out of nowhere Ricochet flies in and lands on him, and the two of them together cover Adam Cole for the win.
And of course, then the team wins. Yeah.
Which is the first time Undisputed Era has lost a War Games, right?
Lost in War Games. And of course, this match was... What do you expect? This match was absolutely incredible.
It was so good.
Literally like an hour or 45 minutes of just pure wrestling talent that is just there to entertain everybody. And so that was NXT Takeover. Was that a perfect pay-per-view?
I mean, it was pretty damn close.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's as close as you can get, frankly.
Oh, and for those who were curious, they did beforehand at some point do the Up Down Down show.
Yeah.
Where they did
League of
Legends, where it was Team NXT versus Team WWE. Mm-hmm. And NXT ended up winning that one also.
Yes, they did. They really stomped them.
They did do very well.
But yeah, it was really good. Just really all around good. So then we had Survivor Series pay-per-view on Sunday. Only one match was on the pre-show. It was the Survivor Series tag team match. And, you know...
I enjoyed it.
It started out kind of meh for me, but then at the end when we had only a couple teams left, I thought it was really good.
It did start a little slow just because there are a lot of people in this match.
There's a lot of teams, and they had to get certain teams out and put... Yeah, so it was fine, though. I enjoyed it.
I also enjoyed it.
And, of course, SmackDown gets the win, but... Apparently, they don't care.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah, because they were just like, we're not counting this one for some reason. And of course, Xavier Woods has something to say about that on SmackDown later, so we'll talk about that.
So first off, we have the Survivor Series women's match. And that one, I really enjoyed.
I thought there were good points. I wasn't a huge fan of this, honestly. But there were good points in it that I thought were really entertaining. The Sonya Deville and Mandy conflict continuing, I like.
That's, I think, what I liked the most from the match, if we're being honest.
Yeah, there was a double count out at one point.
Nia Jax got booed to hell.
Yeah, she did. They really hate her. Like, holy crap. And so, earlier at the pre-show, they announced that Natalya and Ruby Riott wouldn't be in the match. And so... because of that, they were replaced by Bayley and Sasha, and that felt kind of weird to me, but whatever. Like, and so it eventually gets down to like the last couple people, and it's only Asuka for SmackDown, and Sasha's taking her to the limit, and then Nia Jax just messes it up for her.
Yeah,
like out of nowhere. Which I get that she's a heel. It's like I want to do it myself, but it was still like, whoa, all right. So then it came down to Nia Jax versus Asuka, and of course they let Nia Jax beat up Asuka for a little while, and Nia Jax gets the win for the women's team.
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the greatest.
No, it wasn't particularly great in my opinion.
Then after that, we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins,
and I really enjoyed that match.
I also enjoyed that match quite a bit.
Of course, then it really does feel though like Nakamura is just getting buried. He's never on TV. When he does fight, he loses. This poor dude. I understand that they were going for this raw, clean sweep storyline that we're getting now, but it really was disappointing to see Shinsuke Nakamura finally get a match and just lose again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then...
After that, we had Bar versus AOP.
This was a weird... match.
I didn't really care for the match.
No, I'm glad that AOP won because they basically won. First, they won the tag team titles off of Seth Rollins in a handicap match, and so they were kind of like, it was kind of like, well, are they really like a legitimate champion at this point? And they beat the Bar, so I would say yes. But then there was this weird spot that was Big Show chases down Drake Maverick. He hucks him up to the apron, and he's just like choking him out. And then Drake Maverick, out of fear, he pees his pants. What? Who is this for? Who was like, you know what's missing from WWE? Pee spots. This was so stupid. It's like, what was this?
Yeah, I don't
even know what this was.
I'm kind of at a loss for words on that subject. I'm not really sure why they did it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was just weird. But anyway, AOP gets the win. But then we get to Mustafa Ali versus Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship.
They destroyed that match.
They really did. So first off, I forgot this match was happening. Like, I knew going into it that this match was one of the matches, but halfway through the pay-per-view, I was like, I forgot that it was part of the pay-per-view. Because, you know, they never pushed 205 Live.
What?
But yeah, in fact, I was surprised it wasn't on the pre-show.
I mean, yeah.
That's where they usually throw it, but...
Well, they had to put the tag team on the pre-show so they could talk about the clean sweep.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, but when they were like, oh, next up is the Cruiserweight Championship, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Because this match was awesome.
It was really good. I like both of them a lot.
Yeah, they both are amazing.
I like Buddy Murphy a lot because he's kind of like, I like his style of heel. Where, like, he's not super bombacious or flamboyant. He's just like, I'm good at what I do.
I'm better than everybody
I
else
run this show because I'm the best there is.
Exactly.
And if you don't like it, fight me if you can.
Yeah, exactly. And it just makes sense for his character, especially like, so he is the top guy on 205 Live because he's the champion. But he's also like the heaviest dude on 205 Live. Yeah, he's literally at the cusp of being disqualified.
They did the weigh-in, and he was 204, and I was just like,
But yeah, it's just it. So having the biggest, strongest dude finally have the belt, it's just like, it makes sense.
Yeah, and he very much has that Darwinistic behavior where he's cocky because he's good, and he's good because he thinks he's the best. And the best should be at the top.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, though, next match was the Survivor Series men's match, and what a shit show this was, in my opinion. First off, Samoa Joe gets eliminated like immediately. Match starts. Drew McIntyre hits that Claymore kick. 1, 2, 3. Everybody was mad about that.
I was so upset.
Everybody was mad.
Because he was one of the guys I was like pegging to be at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's
Samoa Joe.
Yeah,
he's one of the best wrestlers.
And he's so resilient. Like they've built his character as he's a sustainable, long-lasting endurance fighter.
I mean, think about his fights with AJ Styles. Those are sure he lost all of them, but those are long fights that he was doing a lot in for the whole time.
I honestly thought they were going to eliminate Jeff Hardy first because they've said before in things here and there he's had back problems.
Yeah.
And I know, like, he's on there because if you're building an all-star team, he's going to be on there.
Uh-huh.
But I was totally expecting what happened to Joe to happen to Jeff Hardy.
I think that's fair, yeah. It was funny, though, the crowd, as soon as Samoa Joe gets eliminated.
Oh, they were over
they start chanting, bullshit.
Yeah, they were over it just as much as we were.
Yeah, they were not having it, which rightly so.
So then goes on for a little bit longer,
and there's some infighting in the Raw team. Finn Balor attacks Drew McIntyre.
There's
some
that
fighting
coming
with Braun Strowman, and honestly, I didn't really like this match that much, but there was a part that I did enjoy, which was the Shane O'Mac stuff.
Yeah, and then
so he does the top elbow onto Braun Strowman from onto the announcer's table. That was cool. Then he does a coast to coast, and he tries a second coast to coast, and I just really like that he's like playing up how gassed he is, because when he's going up for that second one, the Miz is like, "Hey, get up there, that you'll do the coast to coast." He's like, "Oh God," all right. He's just huffing and puffing. I really enjoyed it. Oh, but yeah, of course, despite infighting, Raw gets the win though, and yeah, eventually. But then, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be misremembering. This is when Corbin jumps Strowman, though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, Strowman takes out the last couple guys, and then Corbin just whoops him. Just goes in on this dude. Of course, we get there later. That story continues on Raw.
So then after that, we have the Ronda Rousey-Charlotte Flair match.
Probably the best match on the card.
It was a really good match. It was high octane. There were a lot of really good moves.
Yeah.
I noticed, I will admit, there were a handful of botches here and there.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. And honestly, I'll get to one of the things that I disliked in a second.
And it almost kind of felt and looked like a little bit that they kind of just took the match that Becky was going to do.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, Charlotte, learn this match.
Yeah,
Instead of making a Charlotte Ronda match, they were like, hey, you're just going to fill in.
Yeah. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's exactly what they did. Ronda is not a veteran in any sense of the word. She's good, sure, but she's brand new. And when you're that new, scripting fights is important. You can't do stuff off the cuff like you're used to, or you have to specifically call out your moves loudly enough that you know the other person hears them. And so I would assume that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, with everything that happened with Becky, with not having enough time probably to script, choreograph, and train a new match, they probably just were like, hey, Charlotte, we know you're good at what you do. Learn this match real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of why the end, I feel like, came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, Ronda gets out the ring. Charlotte's on the other side, and she starts running towards her. And as we turn the corner, wham! Hits her with the kendo stick.
And at this point in the match, Ronda had kind of picked up steam.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could tell that Charlotte was kind of on the losing end.
Yeah, and so I thought this was cool, first off. I thought I was, like, down with this. Like, I was awesome seeing Charlotte just whooping on her. The crowd freaking loved it. And much to Ronda's chagrin. But one thing, the ending is weird. Disqualification kind of out of nowhere. You're on the outside. Sure, she's picking up steam, but like clearly you still got something in the tank, and you just get yourself disqualified. Like, come on. But yeah, one thing I will say that I disliked about this is so Ronda does that Piper's Pit thing now. It's kind of like a Samoan drop. She just does a twist at the end.
Yeah.
So she's calling it the Piper's Pit, and she does it like several times in a row, like 4 times in a row to Charlotte. And I'm like, don't get me wrong. I understand, like, thematically you can build a match and be like, oh, if you just do this, you eventually get so much advantage in a match that you can just do this move to them over and over and over again. But it's just like, I get that from Brock Lesnar all the time. I don't need it from Ronda Rousey. I don't need one move getting repeated over and over and over and over again. It's the only critique that I really have of this, besides the, of course, occasional botch. But, yeah, so. Of course, because of disqualification, Ronda gets the win.
Also, definitely looks like she just stomps on the chair at the end. Like,
it just looks like it. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm trying to figure out, gee, how did they do that? But it legitimately looks like she did. Obviously, she didn't, because, you know, that would be next level painful. And don't get me wrong, Ronda's tough. I don't think anybody wants to do that, though. But yeah, I really enjoyed this though. Of course, sets up what happens later on SmackDown. But then we get to our main event. Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan.
Okay, so I'm going to start this off with the fact that I lost this match. But
yes, he did.
I'm still satisfied with how this match turned out.
Really?
It pretty much sums up what I wanted to happen in one line.
Oh, I know why you like this. Yeah.
Low blow.
Yep. All right. So yeah, Daniel Bryan gets the low blow on Brock Lesnar.
I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. These low blows this year, we'll get to because there was another one this week.
Yeah.
Have been getting a little out of hand. I get it that you want that's oh, heels do low blows because it's the shitty thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But this year has been insane with that between AJ Styles and Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Now we got
Daniel Bryan doing it. And then, of course, we're talking about who else was doing it later. Here's the thing about it. It's just I get it. I'm over it, though. We got, 4 matches of Shinsuke AJ, which was low blow city.
But I am 100% okay with this one because even last week, I said in the cast that even if Daniel Bryan loses, I just want him to kick Brock Lesnar right in the dick.
That is fair. And I will say that one spot is something I really did enjoy. I will say, though, I really didn't like this match.
No, it was...
the beginning of the match is just, Brock Lesnar just beats on Daniel Bryan. Suplex. F5. And then Daniel Bryan gets a low blow. He gets a little momentum going, and I really enjoyed that because, it's Daniel Bryan.
And I kind of thought they were going to give it to him.
I thought so for a second, yeah.
And then, nope, right as Daniel Bryan's at the peak of him getting steam, he gets hit real hard.
Another F5, yep.
Another F5. Suplex F5.
1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan loses to Brock Lesnar. But there is good news, listeners, because that means the championship for the WWC is back where it belongs, on Danny Marvelous's waist.
For now. For now. That'll change come DLC.
Ye wishes. Oh, man. It is good to be the champ.
It's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. TLC.
Oh,
Nick the Iceman.
TLC Nick the Iceman. But yeah, so that was what did you think of Survivor Series as a whole?
See, here's the thing. I didn't mind it that much. I had a lot of problems with it, but it was an okay pay-per-view. I feel like I liked it less so because we watched War Games right before it.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is that this wasn't a horrible pick. It wasn't great or anything. Honestly, Hell in a Cell is probably the last really fantastic pay-per-view that we had right after SummerSlam. We had Hell in a Cell, and that pay-per-view was really amazing. The end was a little weird, but turned out very well. Actually, I'll take that back. Evolution was amazing.
I liked Evolution a lot, too.
Yeah. So this pay-per-view was just fine, but I think it's worse because we literally watched a basically perfect pay-per-view before it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
now we'll go ahead and go on to the weekly shows. Alright, so first we got Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
Which started weird.
Yeah, so Corbin comes out. He's already out in the ring. He welcomes Stephanie to the ring. And, they celebrate that Raw swept the competition. Quote unquote.
Which, yeah, I guess just screw the tag team division.
Yeah, really.
Because that was Raw's thing the entire night was 6-0. Clean sweep.
Clean sweep, 6-0.
Celebrate 6-0.
Who cares about the tag teams?
But it's not 6-0.
Yeah.
And sure, if you want to fluff your brand all you want, but your brand has tag teams in it.
Exactly.
And yes, they lost, but still not even acknowledging their match is just a giant middle finger to everybody in the tag division.
It really is. I really hate it.
Which Xavier Woods does something I really like on SmackDown, which we'll get to in regards to that whole thing. And
it's a whole thing.
So
anyway,
Braun Strowman then comes out and is like, "Hey,
I held up my end of the deal.
Oh,
now it's time for you to hold up your end."
Yeah, because Baron Corbin's like, "Stephanie, speaking of promises, you owe me," and then Braun Strowman comes out and says,
"Yeah, he's like, hey, you said I could be permanent GM if I had a clean sweep." Of course, she doesn't let him do that immediately. But Braun Strowman comes out. He starts asking for his promises as well. And anyway, they announce that Corbin will face Braun Strowman
at TLC. And the stipulations were set that if Braun wins, he gets a title shot at Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And Baron Corbin loses his commissioner title.
Yes. But if Corbin wins, he is officially instated as the permanent general manager of Monday Night Raw.
And as this promo continues, it ends with Braun Strowman saying, "Oh, by the way, I get to pick the stipulations of our match.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
It will be a TLC match. I'm so excited.
I am so ready to see Braun Strowman throw Baron Corbin through some tables.
Yeah, me too. So, we talked about Braun Strowman's injury. So, I'm not really sure how they're going to go with this moving forward. But I hope that it turns out well. I hope they continued this match and that it's dope as I want it to be. So,
and based off of, I know we both got conflicting stories, but based off whichever one is correct, we can have a couple different options here.
Yeah, exactly.
If this is a pre-existing injury that he's been dealing with for a while, they potentially could be like, all right, we're gonna deal with it like now.
Yeah.
And they could have slated the surgery to be like this week.
Yeah,
and then he has time to recover before tables, ladders, and chairs.
Exactly.
It's a relatively minor procedure.
Yeah. It was they said that it did require surgery, but that it was a minor surgery.
But if the other source is correct, and it is something that happened relatively recently, it might take a week or two, or maybe even 3 to get everything set up with the surgery. So he might not be recovered in time.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's been, of course, plenty of rumors about or predictions about how they're going to handle it. Some of them are interesting, some of them are kind of lame, but whatever. We'll see how it goes in the coming weeks.
So then that promo ends, and we actually get a match that I was super excited for.
Yeah. So,
which was a elimination 6-person tag.
Also, they didn't say that it was a elimination match. I don't think.
I think they just said it was a 6-man tag, and then they came back from commercial, and they were like, "By the way, it's an elimination match."
Yeah, I didn't even hear the announcer say it. I literally saw Finn Balor get. Of course, Finn Balor gets the first one that's eliminated.
Yeah, the people in it are Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, and Elias on one side, which is just my 3 favorite people on Raw right now.
They're real. All 3 of those guys are amazing.
And then we get Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Baron Corbin on the other side.
Yeah. Also pretty good. I'm not a big Corbin fan, but I think he's a good heel.
And I thought it was neat that because with the 6 people in the match, they each had beef with the individual member
had a beef with somebody else,
which I thought was neat because it's always kind of funny when you have 6-man tags and you're like, these 2 people have a rivalry against these 2 people and they both brought a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, it was everybody is
invested.
With somebody.
Yeah, everybody's invested.
And so anyway, Finn Balor is the first one that gets eliminated, and it was at this time I was like, wait, is that it? Because it was so early in the match. Then I look in the corner and it says #elimination match, and I was like, oh, okay. And then, of course, she announces Finn Balor got eliminated, and so on and so forth.
So, basically, this match kind of goes back and forth for a little bit, and then ends up with Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre eliminating everybody but Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman rallies and starts fighting off all 3 of them and does a pretty good job. I was almost a little curious if they were going to actually have him just underdog it and end up beating all 3 of them.
But no, Drew McIntyre hits him with a chair after he hits a powerbomb.
and then they just proceed to mob rule the crap out of him.
Yeah, exactly. He's even bleeding at some points, and Baron Corbin takes off his belt and he gives it to Bobby Lashley. He's like, "Hey, tie this around his hand and pull it up to on the stairs."
And then he gets the other set of stairs, and they have to cut camera angles
to
show that
it
he's
clearly
not actually hitting him on the
actually
arm.
going to get hit. Yeah,
but then he takes a set of the silver stairs and crushes him into the other set of steel stairs right onto Braun Strowman's arm. He lets out a sound I've never heard Braun Strowman make before.
Yeah, he sold that so well.
Yeah, he did. I was almost like, did he actually mess his arm up more? Because it was bleeding, and he was selling it. And at one point, you can hear him say he can't feel his fingers.
Yeah, it was really cool.
They got EMTs out. The
whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so technically, Braun Strowman wins because the other guys got disqualified.
Yeah, I think they kind of just threw out the match. Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't really a crowned winner.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, later on, we see another beatdown of Braun Strowman backstage. But yeah, so anyway, but also, one little quick thing before we move on to the next section I wanted to mention for this match. Actually, for the promo before it. Monday Night Braun, kill yourself.
Oh, what, you don't like Monday Night Braun?
No, I do not like that phrase at all, because we get it from 100 different people already, and I was like, Monday Night Rollins, I'm okay with it because it's Raw, Rollins. Okay, cool. I can deal with that. There's 100 different versions of Monday Night Blank, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this boy. It was so lame, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so
I did like at the end of that promo though, where he's like, at TLC, you're gonna get these hands and these chairs and these ladders.
I did
and
like
these
that.
tables. And I was just like, oh, give it to him.
That was cool.
So after that, we get a promo, where it's Seth Rollins comes out and he's like, tired of this shit. I lost. It's fine. Dean, come out here and fight me. You talk about how you do wrestling because you love two dudes just squashing out their beef in the ring. They just like face their problems like men, but here you are hiding and running every week.
Yeah.
And then screen lights up.
And it's Dean Ambrose, and he's backstage.
And he's like, yeah, you know what? You're right, Seth. If you want to take your issues up with me, come find me. And the camera zooms out and reveals where he's at backstage.
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins just hauls ass out of the ring.
So, this interrupt that Dean Ambrose does was really uncomfortable for me. So, I know that, like, they probably got, like, Roman Reigns to be like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Like, you guys do you. Like, I'm sure they were like, they talked to him and were like, hey, we want to do this for this spot. Is that okay? And I'm sure he said yes. But it's really awkward seeing Dean Ambrose being like, hey, we all have to atone for what we did with the Shield. And so Roman is atoning by going to meet his maker. And I'm like, whoa, dude, like, that's not okay. It's like actual real life stuff right there. It's like, it actually, like, on one hand, I absolutely hate it because that's so weird and so awkward. On the other hand, it legitimately makes me dislike Dean Ambrose, so I guess that's what they want you to do.
Well, it's kind of like the thing with Nia Jax, where, like, granted it's a little less severe.
Yeah.
But they were like, hey, this thing happened, and we're not happy it happened, but we're going to use it to fuel the flame and make people hate this person even more.
Exactly. The difference is Dean Ambrose didn't give leukemia to Roman Reigns, whereas Nia Jax actually punched Becky Lynch in the face.
Fair. We don't know that 100% though.
I believe Jonathan Coachman on this episode straight up says that, yes, Becky Lynch did get punched in the face by Nia Jax, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
we all saw that.
We all believe that, but I still am.
You don't know if Dean Ambrose actually gave leukemia to Roman? I'm sure that's how that works.
I've got some people working on it.
We got some journalists looking through for it.
I'll keep you guys updated.
But yeah, anyway, this leads to a whole bunch of stuff.
A whole bunch of hide and seek throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Which I don't dislike. I actually really like. It kind of harkens back to the old Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he did this stuff. He was very mind gamey, and
he's always been kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so ever since he's been back, he's kind of just been like beef stick Ambrose.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm glad they're playing his character up more.
Yeah, for sure.
Something I did want to mention, there's a scene where at the first location that Seth Rollins finds, he comes up to two security guards. He's like, "Hey, what's up with these guys? What is like that?"
This was so out of place for me.
It was really weird.
Because this security guard is employed by the WWE. So he's got to know who Seth Rollins is.
Yeah.
So for him to be like, "Better watch it, bucko." It's like, really? You took the Seth Rollins that way?
It was really weird. But so there were two security guards. There's the one that gets in his face.
Yeah.
And there's another one. I wanted to mention this because the other one is actually an indie wrestler that I actually know. His name is, he goes by The Hobo or something like that. Or Bane, I think his other name is Bane's Destroy. That's also his Twitter handle. And he's really good. And so I like that he's actually doing stuff with WWE. Obviously, considering he's security, he's fodder at this point, so I don't see them pushing him anytime soon.
But you gotta start somewhere.
But yeah, I know he is also in the LA area, and so that's where they are. So this was pretty cool though.
So then after this was a very upsetting match for me because this is the classic.
I was so over this.
This is the classic situation where it's like, hey, remember these people who were like on top of the world a year ago?
Yep.
Now they're jobbers.
Yeah, exactly. So it was Sasha and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Tamina. What the heck was this?
It was a squash match.
It basically was, and it was boring. You can say whatever you want. A match that involves all these people is boring. There's no heat to that. There's
I
no
don't
heat
really
to
have
this
anything
match.
else to say about this match.
Boring.
It wasn't entertaining.
Boring. Anyway, then we had a backstage segment
which actually made me want to put my foot through the television.
Yeah, with Drake Maverick. And
don't get me wrong. I like the beginning of it. Where he's standing in line, you hear Heath Slater in the background go, "Yeah, my kids don't even do that anymore."
Yeah.
And he turns around like, "Who you talking?" And then looks up and realizes the guy's like 2 feet taller than him.
Yeah. So he goes over to Chad Gable.
I feel like if the promo would have ended there, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But then, he goes over to Chad Gable and basically is like, "I can't start shit with them. I'm gonna start shit with you."
Yeah. And this is why.
And I love puns. You know this, Danny.
I do know that you are a big pun fan.
These were awful.
Really bad.
I hated this. It felt so forced. And I think we even talked about this during the week. It's so weird seeing like baby faces be bullies.
Yeah, and so that's another thing. So this is a little tangent I want to actually focus on. So first off, we get a 5-minute segment that's just urine jokes. And I'm like, dude, like maybe one was fine. Like maybe even 2, but at this point we've gotten like 5 of them and I'm just over it. Anyway, then it's just like, this is straight up bullying. Like this is a blatant, just like guys making fun of Drake Maverick at his expense to his face, and none of them are heels. They're the good guys. It's like, what is this? Isn't WWE has all this stuff that's into all these anti-bullying campaigns and stuff like that.
If you wanted to bully him, there are more than enough heels that could bully him. You know
exactly. Say that the bad guys are the ones that are bullying.
You know who's on Raw that could bully someone?
Yeah. Jinder Mahal. Great example of a guy that could just weigh like, how you peed your pants, you lame-o. Or like, I don't know. But there's so many good options. Instead, they take all the baby faces from the tag division and are like, hey, what if you were all dicks?
Which really upset me because it felt like it put a tarnish on Bobby Roode and Chad Gable.
It kind of does for me too.
Because it's like, okay, yeah, I like you guys, but now you're just assholes.
Yeah.
So then after that, we had another match that was like the Jeff Hardy match a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
where I was upset. It upset me to see someone win or lose this, because if you win this, you're over. It puts you over, but if you lose, you're just over.
Yeah, exactly. It was the Lucha House Party versus the Revival.
Like, I wanted the Lucha House Party to win because I liked the Lucha House Party, and if they lost this match, I don't feel like it would have like hurt them very much.
I disagree. Actually, I think that Lucha House Party had to win because they're a new team. They haven't done anything. If they immediately start losing, like.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I feel like if they lost this match, it wouldn't have really, like, put a ding in their popularity at all.
That's fair.
I also feel like they could have started a feud if they really wanted to.
Oh, yeah, like,
and it would have started to build the Revival up, who's been getting just shoved under the carpet lately.
Yeah. So, like, let's say through cheating, the Revival wins. That's a way to have the Lucha House Party lose without tarnishing them. You don't blame a babyface for losing when the other person cheated. Like, it's not considered a legitimate loss, a clean loss.
And I very much thought this is a lose-lose situation.
Also, a Lucha House Rules match.
You mean a handicap match?
It was just a handicap match, and it literally happened for no reason. They all of a sudden were just like, oh yeah, all three of them are gonna fight.
There is one more thing I want to pin into this match before we move on.
All right.
There was a line on commentary where Renee Young and Corey Graves were talking about the Lucha House Party and Revival.
Yeah. And
at one point, Corey Graves goes, "You're starting to sound like Saxton, Renee." And her response was, "I don't hang out with Saxton."
I thought that was so funny.
Oh,
I was dying.
Like, even Renee Young is like, yeah, no, screw Saxton.
I was dying. It was so good.
She's like the face announcer, and she's just like, nah, screw Saxton.
It's so funny that's what they did.
So then after that, we got a Ronda Rousey promo where she came out battered and bruised, made some weird analogies like she normally does.
Yeah.
And then was like, listen, if I can't defend my title on my worst day, I don't deserve it on my best day. Open challenge, let's go.
So, we all know Ronda has kind of been struggling on the mic.
This was bad.
This is probably her worst one yet. Because at least the other ones you had like points where you're like, oh, the John Cena bedroom thing. Okay, cool. Or I'm going to kill her. Like, there was stuff we could talk about. I don't even remember this. Well, other than I disliked it.
The selling point for this promo was if I can't defend it on my worst day, I don't deserve it on my best day. But I also feel like the reason this promo may have been a little lacking is I don't feel like she was in it, because there were a few different sources that said after Survivor Series she was just pissed off at the fans.
Yeah, that she was mad that they were cheering for the heel turn, that they booed her when she was leaving.
Yeah, they were chanting, "You deserve this," as she was walking down the runway, beat to hell.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Charlotte's, which, gee, who thought the WWE Universe would be chanting, "Thank you, Charlotte," at this point in time?
And so I feel like her heart wasn't in it because she was pissed off at the fans.
Yeah, and honestly, it's got to get better. But
so Baron Corbin comes out, and he's like, now, because he might potentially become the permanent commissioner, I guess he gives a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, Ronda, I can't let you wrestle. You're too injured. I can't have you getting just destroyed. I can't let you risk your career for pride. And she's like, you go back there and find me someone, or I'm going to start beating on you.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you know what, fine. But just so you know, whoever I pick is going to be the new champion because you're going to get the crap kicked out of you. And I was like, are we going to have her lose it here? Are we going to have her lose it here and have them, like, put someone over out of nowhere?
That would be cool.
And they picked the only person that could ever lose to Ronda in this state.
Oh, yeah, I was like, as soon as that music hit, I was like,
of course this is who they'd pick.
Mickie James, really?
Of course this is who they would pick.
Also, so Does this move make Corbin look like a bitch? Just immediately compromise any authority that you have. You come out and you're like, "Hey, champ, you're too injured. You can't fight." And she's like, "Bullshit, I can fight."
He's like, "Oh yeah, sure."
Like, I guess fine, sure, whatever. Like you just immediately.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I was thinking he was gonna send out like an A-list all-star to beat her, and then he was gonna come out afterwards and be like, "See, that's what I told you. Respect my authority," and then leave.
Oh, and I'm actually I was mistaken earlier. The match against Charlotte didn't have the Piper's Pit over and over again. It was this match. This match had the Piper's Pit over and over again.
And so the match, like, she comes out, and first off, you guys know from listening, and just
from watching
and being around me, I don't really care for Mickie James that much.
Yeah, we're not big Mickie James fan here.
I don't dislike her at all, but I definitely feel like her character. I just like her character.
Yeah.
Her character is very much like the midlife crisis mother trying to fit in with her kids, and her attitude, like, just gets me, and not necessarily like in a heel way, but like just she irks me as a person.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also am not a big fan of her character right now. Like, granted, all respect to Mickie James for her career.
Oh,
she's going to be a Hall
I
of
definitely
Famer.
respect her. I don't disrespect
exactly.
her or her career, but I feel like she's getting close to the hanging up the tights.
Yeah. And it shows.
So she came out. She looked good though when she came out. Though I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
She
started out strong. Yeah.
Started off strong, and then I was just like waiting for it because she doesn't normally do super hot in her singles matches.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was waiting for Ronda to catch the upper hand, which she did, and then like you said, she ended up just doing the Piper's Pit like 6 times in a row, and ended up just leaving her in the dirt. It was a squash match basically at this point.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then we move on to the next match, which was AOP versus Gable and Rude.
I don't know what their official name is, but I've just been calling them the Glorious Ones.
Yeah, I don't think they have an official name.
I mean, hey WWE.
Yeah, you can have that one.
You can have that one.
I mean, it's better than half of your other ones. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So this was obviously a match that was set up because Drake Maverick was pissed.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
And the crowd during this match was chanting AOPP,
which killed me.
So stupid.
It was so dumb. But I couldn't help but crack a smile every time you could hear it come through the mic.
Yeah. And so anyway, this match was okay, but ends with Gable and Rude getting the win. Off I think a roll up or something like that.
Yeah, it was a relatively quick and out of nowhere, like rolled up 1, 2, 3, and then they were out.
Yeah. So something I want to talk about with this though, AOP has gotten a Raw end of a deal here. Yeah, Raw. Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, so think about Raw. Literally 2 weeks ago, AOP was dominant. They were juggernauts that were destroying people.
They were just rushing out during matches and laying waste.
Just destroying the competition.
And now they
finally get the title in, let's be honest, what's probably...
It's basically a handout.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, first off, winning that is going to be an asterisk anyway. But then, you go to Survivor Series and they win against the Bar. So, that gives them a little credit. But because they throw in this Drake Maverick PP storyline, it's kind of a joke at this point now. So AOP, it gets chanted AOPP. Like, this is a joke at this point. And they immediately lose. So not only are they now basically a comedy act, which they won't go with that very long, but as far as right now, it's a comedy act.
And technically speaking, their first match that means something,
they lost.
Yeah, let's be honest.
Yeah.
They won a Survivor Series, but nothing against Survivor Series because I love it. It's probably one of the pay-per-views I look forward to every year because you get to see the brands clash.
Yeah, and elimination matches usually are pretty fun.
It's a no-risk match.
Exactly.
If you lose, nothing happens.
Exactly.
Granted, there are storylines that they're trying to do, like that they do based off of that, like with the one we're talking about now with the clean sweep.
Yeah.
But if you lose at Survivor Series, and you're a title holder, you still have your title. Nothing's changed.
Exactly.
So this is really their like first. It wasn't a title match, but their like first big match.
Yeah. Since being Raw Tag Team.
Especially since Gable and Rude did such a good job in the Raw
Tag Team Survivor
match.
Series match, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, basically to me now, AOP, who 2 weeks ago were unstoppable juggernauts, are now a joke act that loses all the time.
Yeah.
But
so then after that,
I will say that before we move on, it was announced that this coming week on Monday Night Raw, Tag Team Championship match between these two groups.
Which, I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to Gable and Rude again.
I wouldn't be either, but
they've been trying to put them over.
Yep. But yeah, so then we moved on
to Ruby Riott versus Natalya again.
Yeah, again. I mean, it was fine.
I didn't mind the match. One moment of the match I did think was pretty funny to me is at one point, Natalya Irish whips Ruby Riott into the corner, and goes to do like a body slam, and you can clear as day on the mics just hear "bitch," and she's like jumps at her in the corner, and I was like, oh wow, that came through real clear.
It really did. I will say, I mean, this was a fine match. Like, it wasn't anything spectacular, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was necessary based off of what they did at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
They couldn't just say they removed them because they were having issues and then not give them a match.
Yeah. Something I will say is that I think my enjoyment of this match directly relates to this actually having heat now. Because we've seen these two fight over and over and over again with Sasha and Bayley and tag team matches, but we complained about how it was just over and over. We kept getting this match without anything being behind it. Now there's something behind it, and now I'm actually kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, I don't mind it that much.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's okay. Then we get our finale.
Which kind of brings me to the thing we were talking about during Survivor Series with the low blows.
Yep, so Dean Ambrose has a promo.
Well, before that, there's a promo of, at some point, I don't know if it's directly before this or what, but it's Seth Rollins leaving. He's like,
I'm done chasing after him.
At one point, Dean Ambrose is like, I'm where we used to hang out as the Shield. Mm-hmm. And he goes to a stairwell and spray paint on the walls, burn it down.
Yeah, exactly.
And Seth Rollins is like, I'm done. I had enough of this. I'm leaving.
I'll be there at the next location.
They even ask him if he's really leaving, and he just doesn't really respond. He just has all of his stuff, and he just walks out.
Yeah.
So then, after the Ruby Riott Natalya match, Dean Ambrose comes out, and he's like, basically like, haha, I finally left. I'm going to come out here and talk smack.
Yeah, exactly.
So he comes out, starts cutting a promo.
And it's a pretty good promo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike Dean Ambrose at all. I actually very much enjoy his character. I am upset with him, but that's because they want you to be.
Exactly.
But from a writing standpoint, I mean, I feel like it's being written well.
Yeah.
And so he comes out, starts cutting a promo, and then Seth Rollins shows up.
Yeah, turns out he faked him out. Yeah, so he runs to the ring.
And they just start going at it.
Yeah, and, Rollins has the advantage initially, and he's just beating down Ambrose, gets all this stuff, and then low blow.
Yep. And
in the Shinsuke style, not the Daniel Bryan. So not a kick to the nuts.
Dean Ambrose.
A fall and a arm up between the legs.
Dean Ambrose, uppercut, low blow.
It's so over. The low blow. Like, all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I'm really enjoying this. And I already, like, I assumed that Dean Ambrose would probably get an upper hand at some point.
Listen, if this is the end of low blows, I'll be okay. Like, if Dean Ambrose and Daniel Bryan, Daniel got 2 in. He got 1 in on AJ and 1 in on Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
If he's done with low blows, I'd be okay.
Yeah, cool.
Dean Ambrose, he got the one in because he wasn't expecting to fight. Seth jumped him. He used it to get in and get out.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if this starts to become another Shinsuke thing, where like every match these two are in, there's like low blow, low blow, low blow.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna be over it.
Yeah.
Because they're talented enough. We know they're talented enough.
Oh yeah.
The fans know. They themselves know.
Yeah.
They can sustain a match without having to do cheap shots. I get that there's heels, but there's more creative ways to get in cheap shots if you're a heel.
Exactly.
Than just punching them in the dick when no one's looking.
I mean, just look at The Miz.
Exactly.
He's been a heel for basically his entire career.
He did something this year that the old heels used to do, where, stumble into the barrier and then grab something.
Yeah, that's like something like out of the golden era. Like, that's Randy Savage hiding brass knuckles in his drawers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's what it was. And so, but yeah, you look at The Miz, and he's cheated his way to the top hundreds of times. How many times has he used a low blow? Maybe once.
Yeah,
I can't even remember, honestly.
Honestly, it's just one of those things that I feel where, yes, sometimes it might be necessary, but more often than not, if you're at a low blow into a match, it's just kind of like a cop-out.
Yeah, it's like...
you're like, I don't have time to figure out a creative way to cheat.
I think it makes them look weaker.
Oh, no, I'm not
Cheating in general makes you look weaker, but it doesn't even make you look smart. It makes you look like, oh, I'm desperate, there's nothing else I can do, whack.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, like if you get the tights in a pin and a roll up, or if you use the rope in a pin.
Yeah.
Like that's at least like using your surroundings to your advantage and like.
Yeah, cheating in a smart way, quote unquote smart way, doing whatever you have to do in order to get the win.
Yeah, but low blows are just like, like you said, they make you look weak. They're like, I can't beat you 1-on-1, so I'm gonna use a cheap shot that hurts more so I can get the upper hand.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even like, oh, I use the rest positioning, and I know he can't see this right now for me to pull onto tights or put my feet up on the ropes. It's like, no, it's just, you just kick him in the nuts.
So after that, there's a little bit of aftermath of that.
He hits the dirty deeds on him twice.
And then he's out.
Yeah, and that's the end of Raw. Raw continues to prove that it's the B show.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It was not very good. Not very good at all. So yeah.
And then next we have SmackDown.
SmackDown started with a Charlotte Flair promo. And let's be honest, it's basically a Becky promo.
Well, here's the thing that got me. On Twitter, did you see this?
Yeah, I did see it.
Where, based off of stuff that Charlotte does, which we'll get into here in a second, Becky Lynch basically claims that she did all the stuff that Charlotte did.
Yeah.
When somebody posted on her wall on Twitter, on her feed, it was like, man, SmackDown wasn't the same without the man. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was there. I cut a promo and I fought these people.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
But she wasn't, yeah.
But it was Charlotte, so what?
It's clearly just her digging in and being like, yeah, this is basically what...
Like, I get it that it's her basically being like, I'm the puppet master.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird story arc where, like, friends, then they split, now they're friends again, or maybe even, like, boss-employer relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And so, anyway, I think it's fair to say that Charlotte's a heel now.
Yeah.
Because she, at least for right now, I would consider her a new heel. Just turned, and I'm really excited for it because Charlotte is an amazing heel. Like, she's a really good heel. If you saw her stuff when she first got brought up, her stuff in NXT, like.
And I feel like they have to do that because they have all of this story writing for a strong woman heel, and their strong woman heel is going to be out for who knows how long with a broken orbital socket.
I think that's fair. Yeah. So yeah, Charlotte really has fallen into the Becky role right now. Yeah.
So then Paige comes out.
Yep, and
she's like, Charlotte, I liked your determination and your power and your strength. You really brought it for Survivor Series, but you brought it a little too much. I'm not sure why you did some of that stuff, but you can't do that.
Yeah, specifically, you can't attack 5 referees.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to fine you $100,000.
What the? What was this?
Can we get Civil Court with WWE?
Can we get... But, like, you're erasing history at this point. Because we have been watching WWE for a long time. And we've seen, even in just a short period, we've seen how many refs get destroyed by somebody with no repercussions whatsoever.
This is episode 9 of the Weekly Wrestling Cast, and there's been several times that we've been like, did you see so-and-so beat the crap out of a whole bunch of refs?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it happens all the time. This is a common thing in wrestling. You can't suddenly show up and be like, oh man, you know you're not supposed to do that. Like, everybody does that.
See, if they wanted to do this, I could have seen them doing it with a... I know it's kind of out of place for them to do this, but like if they would have had like a celebrity ref.
Yeah. That would have been, yeah.
Where they had like a celebrity ref or something, or they had someone of note get caught in the crossfire, like when Charlotte's going in on Ronda and goes to pulls her over to the table. She like shoves Renee Young out of the way and she falls over and gets hurt, and they're like, finding you for that. But people have been beating the crap out of refs since like the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long time.
So if we're gonna like decide that now is the time that we're going to enforce it, sure, but make sure you enforce it with everyone now, because now that you've set that staple, you have to uphold it.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's just situational,
and that's exactly what it's going to be.
It holds no merit. Yeah.
Anyway, the Iconics come out then,
and they do their thing.
And it's
like nails on a freaking chalkboard.
Anyway, they decide that Billie Kay is going to face off with Charlotte Flair right now. So they start, and it's a decent match. Charlotte is dominant in it, but it's fine. There's not really anything special about it. But then, so she wins,
and then the Iconics are like, "We out. You beat the crap out of Billie Kay.
They regroup, and Charlotte gets on the mic, and she goes, "Hey Peyton, how about you and I have a match right now?"
She's just like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, come on, Peyton, come
on, Peyton, let's fight.
Let's do it, come on.
I'm like, what the?
And you see Billie Kay like, no, we gotta leave. No, let's go,
Peyton,
we out.
No. And so they cut to commercial, and they come back, and the match has started. And again, Charlotte is destroying, and of course, but then the Iconics jumper, both of them interfere with the match, get disqualification. But then, they beat on Charlotte for a little while.
I honestly would be down for if this turned into kind of like a mini feud and we got a handicap match where it was Charlotte versus the Iconics.
That'd be cool. I'm honestly like, if they decide to put a feud between the Iconics and Charlotte, I'm down for that.
I know the Iconics, like their shtick is they don't really have a feud with anyone. They just talk crap about everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But
they gotta do something eventually.
Yeah. So then we get Miz TV.
Yeah, and probably my least favorite Miz TV. I don't think I've ever disliked a Miz promo.
Wait, what? Why is
I was
that?
Not into this.
Why is that, Danny Marvelous?
So Miz suggests a new tag team to Shane O'Mac, the best in the world, because together they are the best in the world. And Shane's just like, no, man, like, I'm hurt and I'm old and I'm not going to fight with you.
He's like, no. We can do it right now. We can have our exhibition match. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, so...
They introduce the world famous Bryant brothers.
Which, they're jobbers.
No, how dare you? They are the world famous Bryant
Tell
brothers.
Tell me one of their first name.
Dean? Maybe?
Dean Bryant. Which one? Was it the clearly Mexican one or the clearly black one? Which one is named Dean Bryant?
The one that's named Dean Bryant.
Anyway, they bring out these jobbers.
They got put so freaking over with this match.
Well, I mean, so they start this tag team match, and Miz is destroying them, and he's just like starts gloating. And he's like, "Hey Shane, you want to get in?" And Shane's like, "No." Like, I told you no. And so then Miz turns around and gets rolled off into a pin. 1, 2, 3, the Miz loses.
You talk smack, but I could see the Bryant brothers being in title contention.
They're not. No.
They got put so over with this match. This is just the beginning.
But what was this? I don't even know what this was. What's the point of... I'm so over this, man.
You're so over, just like the Bryant brothers?
Damn, get out of here. Anyway, Jesus. Anyway, then New Day came out, and Xavier Woods on his pilgrim outfit
had 6-1.
And they straight up talk about, they're just like,
this
you
bullshit.
know, yeah, Raw keeps saying that they swept, but last I checked, we won one of those matches. But for whatever reason, they're not counting it. And so anyway, they do their New Day thing for a while, and it's fun. And then the bar comes out, and I'm like, no.
But feast fight.
Yeah, but I'm done with the bar versus New Day.
Thanksgiving feast fight.
No, I'm done. I don't want it.
Turkey punch.
So I hated this.
Big E wore a turkey like a boxing glove. You can't tell me that wasn't amazing.
I mean, that part, yeah, sure, that's a great spot. And that's clever and everything.
And then they just throw the entire plate of, like, 7 plates of food on Cesaro.
Yeah. But why, for like the past 5 weeks, have we just had the New Day versus the Bar? It just doesn't go anywhere.
I cannot answer that question.
Yeah, I'm just like, you have other tag teams. Hell, throw Sanity in there once. They'll lose.
We've seen you had other tag teams. They led you to victory.
But yeah, I never thought I would be complaining about seeing the New Day fight the Bar. Because these are two of my favorite groups, and they're awesome together. They have great in-ring chemistry, and I'm done. I don't care. I don't want to see it anymore.
Oh, okay. I remember.
Yeah, so then we had a tag team match.
Couldn't remember who that was, and then I remembered.
Yeah, so when we had a tag team match, Asuka and Naomi versus Absolution.
Yeah, Asuka and Naomi.
Yeah.
Versus Sonya and Mandy, which I enjoyed because it was an okay match.
Yeah, it was fine.
But the thing I enjoyed the most from it is they dropped more hints at the inevitable Sonya Mandy feud.
Yeah, they're dropping that breakup, and honestly, they kind of need to pull the trigger at this point.
Yeah, they've built it up enough that if they do more things with the two of them and not pull the trigger, it's going to fall flat.
It's going to be Bayley and Sasha.
Exactly.
Which, we don't need that.
Wait, you mean you don't want Sonya and Mandy group therapy?
No. Hell no. Hell no. I don't want it. But yeah, so then Daniel Bryan comes out.
Oh boy.
Cuts a promo.
Alright. I guess we should just start unpacking this anime monologue. So, the first things first. This is like a 12-minute promo?
Legit, yeah.
And he does not say I or me once.
Daniel Bryan.
He only refers to himself in the third person.
Yep, that guy, Daniel Bryan.
Second off, he's got like weird Joker ear-to-ear grin the entire promo.
I actually really like that part as his new heel character.
Oh, I do too. Like, I have nothing wrong with this promo. I just want to let you know that it is straight up an anime monologue.
But yeah, like at Survivor Series though, when he loses to Brock, and Brock's walking away, and you see that smile come on his.
So that's the first bit about this promo. He says he is glad he lost to Brock Lesnar
because it whooped the weakness up.
I guess it wasn't the first part of the promo, but that was part of the promo. The first part was he was talking about
coming back.
When Daniel Bryan was injured, Daniel Bryan spent a lot of time reflecting on Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And when Daniel Bryan was in his, hyperbaric chamber in the dark, his dreams took over and did what needed to be done for Daniel Bryan. And his dreams were to be the WWE champion once again, and he came back and with a glorious, thunderous uproar of yes chants, and then during his match with AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan's dreams took over once again and did what needed to be done to make him champ. Mm-hmm. And then he did the whole thing about how Brock Lesnar beat the weakness out of Daniel Bryan.
Yep, and the Yes Movement is over.
And the Yes Movement is dead, his exact words, which I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it was pretty, whoa, okay.
And then he says, I am the new Daniel Bryan. And I was honestly waiting for a new intro to come in. And it didn't.
No.
We'll see. I don't know if they're going to do
I
don't know if they're going to go that far with it.
His intro is a little too iconic.
And so then they start to play him out. Yeah. And he, looks over at the announce table and is like, cut it.
Yeah.
And comes over and grabs the guy by the shirt and, yells at his face. But he doesn't have a mic, so we don't know what he says.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he gets on top of the announce table and just holds the belt up.
Yeah. I really like this, actually. It was weird.
I thought this whole Daniel Bryan heel thing was going to be weird.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it is super weird.
It's really weird.
But I really like it.
I do too. I did really like this.
I was telling one of my buddies that I feel like we can just add Daniel Bryan and Charlotte Flair to the Woken universe. Because they're both they both did heel turns, but they're very weird.
Yeah.
They're not just I'm a bad guy now. It's just Daniel Bryan's dreams led Daniel Bryan to do what Daniel Bryan
hyperbaric chamber. But yeah.
And then Charlotte's over there looking like she just became the bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
just
really.
Rage twisted face, just she hulked.
But yeah, this
I don't mind any of these heel turns, but they were very unconventional.
But I like them. One thing that Dan Bryan though says in this promo, and he's like, "The yes chants died down. You all forgot about Daniel Bryan." I'm like, that's not true, but I understand that we're in kayfabe.
Daniel was gone for 3 years, and still, whenever someone cool came out, they were like, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. They constantly chant yes. He was the general manager, so he was still around, and people still really loved him. It didn't
you
ever
even
go
notice
away.
During this promo, people start chanting no.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So, I actually like this promo a lot, and I'm excited to see where this, comic book villain Daniel Bryan goes.
Yeah. But then we had our final match of the show. Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton.
Let me talk about this match. So listen.
Okay. I'm listening.
I know we were talking about how I'm waiting for Randy Orton to go for the mask because he wants to rip off the whatever.
Destroy the heroes.
But then we were like, nah, they're not going to do that for a little while because, that's cliche. It's just as soon as he's back, go straight for the mask. They're not going to do that. That's too gimmicky.
Yeah.
And then they did exactly that.
Yeah, they really did.
They almost messed up real bad, though.
There were a couple times.
At one point in the match, basically, Randy Orton does the bait and switch with a metal chair and Rey Mysterio's mask.
Yeah.
So that way his face is still covered.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did a very good job of doing that as a way to hide his face still because they don't have the Lucha House Party to run out and throw a towel over him or something. But while he's pulling him out of the ring, his mask comes 100% off and his face is kind of buried in Randy Orton, so you don't actually you see the back and side of his head. But you see Rey Mysterio jump and grab the mask and pull it back down real quick.
Yeah, and honestly, even at the end, of course that spot leads to the end where his mask legitimately falls off. Randy Orton doesn't tear it off; it falls to the ground. Because of Randy Orton, it falls off, but. He doesn't straight up take it off. It falls to the ground and then he picks it up. And so I was like, maybe he wasn't supposed to take it off this time. Maybe he was just supposed to be he won the match, but then it fell off. So he's like, oh, I got this mask.
It's kind of what I was thinking. It kind of looked sporadic when he grabbed the chair too.
Yeah,
so I was almost thinking Randy was Ray had his face in Randy's chest. It was get a chair, Randy.
Exactly.
We need a chair.
But no, I really enjoyed this match though.
I liked
these
it
two
a
are
lot.
both amazing. That spot with the sliding frog splash that he does, turning
into the DDT
into
or
the
RKO.
so clean and so awesome.
So fresh and so clean.
Ain't nobody don't mess me. I'm just so fresh and so clean.
It was really good.
But yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot. So then, after that was the end of SmackDown.
Yep. Pretty good show. Not perfect, but pretty good.
You've got the not necessarily minor shows, but the lesser.
Yeah, the shows that we just kind of go over really quick. First was Mixed Match Challenge. Happens right after SmackDown. Basically, these was our first elimination matches. Whoever lost this week was officially out of the tournament. So first one was Mahalisha versus Team Pause. And starts out, Team Pause is just in charge of the whole thing. They're owning. But thanks to a distraction from one of the Singh brothers, Mahalisha ends up getting a win. And so Team Pause is eliminated. And it's okay match. Then we had Ravishing Rusev Day versus The Fabulous Truth. And ever since they announced that Mixed Match Challenge actually has stakes now, most of the teams have stopped goofing around. They stopped doing their funny stuff.
It almost feels like the Mixed Match Challenge teams didn't know there were stakes.
Yeah, and so they were like, oh, let's...
by the way, there's stakes now. And they were like, well, shit.
Yeah, which is actually pretty cool. And so, but these two teams, they still had, their fun. They had What's Up Chance versus Lana Day Chance. So it was fun. It kind of works. Rusev Day ends up jumping Fabulous Truth as they're doing one of their dance breaks. And so they just are getting most of the match. They're in charge. But eventually Carmella gets a super kick on Lana. 1, 2, 3. Fabulous Truth stays in the competition. And Ravishing Rusev Day is eliminated. And of course, the finals will be at TLC. So we're going to see the finales coming up here. So then we had NXT UK. There were, again, 2 episodes, which, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying the show. I'm done with these 2 episodes a week. It's too much content. And I know that's weird to say, but, I have to watch them, back to back because I just don't... we have to do the podcast, so I have to watch them,
How long are the episodes?
An hour.
So it's 2 hours a week?
Yeah, it's basically a SmackDown.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm just not into this, bro. But yeah, so... But anyway, first match was Xia Brookside versus Rhea Ripley in the women's championship tournament. Brookside is already probably one of the smallest competitors, but compared to Rhea Ripley, she's tiny. Rhea Ripley gets the win. It's okay match. Eddie Dennis then fought Jack Starr, basically a squash match. There was some decent back and forth, but it was a squash match. Then we had Mark Andrews versus Mike Hitchman. It's okay. Andrews won. Isla Dawn fought Toni Storm in the tournament. And this was quick. Really fast. Toni Storm gets the win over Isla Dawn. And I was like, ooh, guess she's getting buried. Then we had probably one of my favorite matches of the week. Ligero fought Jordan Devlin. Now, Jordan Devlin was trained by Finn Balor. And so we had amazing luchador stuff versus, Finn Balor's high-flying stuff and like that. But yeah, really great match. Jordan Devlin ends up getting the win at the end. Then we had the second episode. Women's tournament continued. Dakota Kai fought Rhea Ripley, and this was actually a really good match. There was a questionable spot at the beginning. Rhea Ripley offers a strength battle, and I'm like, and Dakota Kai takes it, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, Dakota Kai, I think you're really good in the ring. But you're a striker. You don't do strength battles, and
you also are a striker with your feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the time, you are a kicker.
Yeah, exactly. It was a pretty great match. Rhea Ripley ends up getting the win, goes to the finals. Then we had a 6-person tag, not 6-person, a tag match. Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews fought Saxon Huxley and Joseph Connors. Unremarkable match. Webster and Andrews get the win. And it was all right, but then in a rage, Connors turns on his partner, Huxley, and he starts beating him down just over and over. And this led to another match between Dave Mastiff versus Tyson T-Bone. And there's some good back and forth, but Mastiff ends up getting the win, and he really looks dominant the entire time. And then we got Toni Storm versus Ginny for the final semifinal match of the women's tournament, and it was really good. Storm gets the win, and there was a face-off with Rhea Ripley at the end of it. It was okay. So before we get on to the other shows, I want to talk about NXT UK because we've had, at this point now, it's official, we've had 10 episodes of this show. And I'm kind of disappointed with it. So there are good matches that we have every once in a while. Like Pete Dunne versus Noam Dar was great. Ligero versus Jordan Devlin was fantastic. Of course, we had Toni Storm versus Ginny. But honestly, like, there's not a whole lot going on. And I understand that they're trying to build a brand. They have to introduce all these people that a lot of people won't know. There might be cultural differences, which is why I'm not really enjoying it. Like, maybe. Like, but honestly, like, the show doesn't have enough, like, storylines going on. There's matches that happen, but, like, and the wrestling inside the matches is pretty good. It's good. It's, if not great. But it's just like there's no storyline that really elevates it to the next level, and I'm just kind of over it. And I'm hoping it gets better, and I'm gonna keep watching it, and of course, probably keep updates on for the podcast. But it is it's struggling right now, and I'm a little disappointed. But yeah, so then we move on to 205.
All right. So 205
starts out with Buddy Murphy coming out.
Oh yeah.
And he just starts, hyping himself up. I run this show. This is my show now.
My show.
And then all of a sudden, Tony Nese's music hits, and I'm like, why is that happening? Because they're buddies. And so it's just because Tony Nese had a match.
And then the bell rang, and they were like, "This match is," and I was like, "Oh, okay." He's just his buddy. He's just like, "Oh, okay." And so it was Tony Nese versus Noam Dar. Which I enjoyed.
I actually really enjoyed it. So like, I was obviously we ended up losing that footage, the recording, but I was pretty hard on Tony Nese previously. But ever since he was in that Fatal 4-Way, I've been really enjoying his matches, and Noam Dar is fantastic. So
I mean, yeah, I didn't want him to win that Fatal 5-Way, but when he did, I was like, damn, he's good.
He really is, yeah.
He's real good, and he's just been getting better since then.
It's just been really good. There's a spot where Noam Dar hits Buddy Murphy on the outside. He kicks him in the head, and then the match continues. Tony Nese ends up getting the win, and I was like, is Buddy Murphy going to attack him? Because I feel like his character wouldn't just let that go. And of course, he does hit him like once, and so it's fine. But,
So then after that, we had the next match, which was Brian Kendrick and
Akira
Tozawa versus Jobbers.
Yeah, it's a squash match. Yeah, and basically it was just continue that the feud with Drew Gulak and Jack Gallagher,
who they cut to, and they were watching the match.
Yeah, they were watching the match, and then it was also to build this new team a little bit.
And they were looking good.
They actually did, yeah, look very good.
And you can tell they're a little more fluent as a tag team, and at the end, Tozawa is just hyped up, celebrating.
Yeah. And Brian Kendrick is like, oh, okay, well, we're going to leave now.
And he's just kind of like, not necessarily sulky, but just kind of like, just standing normal in the ring. He's just kind of like,
okay. And then they start to leave, and Akira's like, "Oh no, come back and celebrate with us."
Yeah, celebrate, get hyped.
Yeah, we're buds now. Like we hype together.
That was the moment that I felt like this tag team needed if they were going to continue.
Exactly.
Because Brian Kendrick started like that. He was like, Tozawa, yeah, I helped you out. Let's mess him up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Tozawa was kind of like shifty-eyed at him, just kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
And so having Tozawa be on board now with Kendrick, I feel like is going to make their next match with Gulak and Gallagher even better.
Nice. But yeah, it was pretty good. Then we get to the main event, which is Grand Metalik versus TJP.
And they, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, they come out in the Lucha House Party masks.
Yeah. They came, immediately put heat on this match. And I like that Lucha House Party actually got aggressive here.
I was waiting for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew
because we talked about it.
I knew it was coming eventually, but just seeing it made my hairs on my arms stand up. I was so mad for them.
And they got they got in each other's face a little bit, and that causes the ref to eject everyone from ringside.
And even like the announcer said, Grand Metalik for the most part is like the pacifist of the Lucha House Party. Yeah. He's the pacifist. He's the gentle one. Mm-hmm. And so it was really neat actually seeing him get heated.
Yeah. Did you think it was weird that I know they're being pushed because they're the new thing, that they didn't play TJP's music at all?
Yeah,
for either part of the show. I was like, okay.
So the match goes on,
and it was great.
Yeah, it was really good,
really fantastic.
It was a barn burner. They were going back and forth.
So good.
God, Metalik on the ropes is insane.
Oh, just like he dances across the ropes.
At one point, he goes up and he's in the corner closest to the screen on the ropes. Does like a spin where he puts one of his feet on the corner turnbuckle and spins onto the rope next to closest to the ramp, and just does a little dance on the ropes. And I was just like, man, dude, you got mad balance.
He's so good. And of course he ends up getting the win here, which was really satisfying.
Was so satisfying.
But then
and then you just hear screaming from the runway.
Maria Kanellis comes out and she's screaming at Drake Maverick. How could you? Of course, this allows Mike Kanellis to sneak up on Grand Metalik.
Chair.
And so he hits him, and then he just starts beating on him while TJP puts him in that knee bar.
And you see Maria Kanellis'
expression change.
Just drop into this sinister, mischievous grin. And she just walks past Drake Maverick and kind of traces across his shoulders with her finger and just walks up to the ring. Just played him like a fiddle.
This is really good storytelling.
So, I was kind of on the fence about Mike and Maria Kanellis when they first came back, because I was like, I don't really know either of these two. I get that their gimmick is that they're a couple.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really know how I feel about them. And then they were like, Maria Kanellis was doing her like manager thing, and I was kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I think I'm starting to warm up to her. Obviously, I don't like her because they're making her a heel,
but she's an interesting heel.
But she's well written, and I'm starting to kind of get excited for the next thing that they do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But yeah, so 205 was great. Last one that we had was NXT,
and that one starts with.
And it's a real short one this time for us.
Yeah,
because there are only 3 matches. Most of this was about hyping the results of War Games.
Yeah, so this starts with Keith Lee versus a jobber.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the jobber that Keith Lee fought on NXT was part of the tag team that Kendrick and Tozawa fought on 205.
Yeah. You were telling me that. I didn't notice, but yeah.
They either looked very similar or it was the same guy. I'm not 100% sure, but I was just like, wait, that kind of looks like the guy from the other show.
Yeah.
So squash match.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure this was like I'm pretty sure they filmed this before War Games. I don't think they filmed it afterwards. I'm pretty sure they filmed it before.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why you don't see any of the people that there's no resolve from what happened and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's also fair.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's a whole bunch of video packages just basically going over what happened at War Games.
They touch on the Cassius Ohno Matt Riddle thing that we didn't see.
There was a little bit more of that, yeah. And so then we eventually get to another match,
which is Keto Murray versus Lars Sullivan, which is again a squash
just
match.
Another squash match.
But they did announce that here soon Lars Sullivan is going to.
He's going to the main roster.
He's going to the main roster.
Yeah, they keep announcing. They're talking about. They have been talking about that. It might not even be till the Royal Rumble though. So.
Which would be interesting.
Yeah.
It would also fill a spot in the Royal Rumble.
Exactly.
And I mean, depending on how many people he eliminates, which I feel like he could probably eliminate quite a few. He's a big dude. He could really make a name for himself in the Royal Rumble.
He really could, yeah. So yeah, more. There's a face-off between Lars and Keith Lee later.
Yeah. Which just hints to, I'm assuming, a small feud they're going to do, or at least a match.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about. I like both of those guys a lot.
Gotcha.
There's more promo stuff with Gargano and Black. They have the Keith Lee Lars Sullivan thing.
Yep.
And then the last match was Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae.
Yeah, so they've been feuding a little bit ever since we found out it was Johnny Gargano that attacked Aleister Black. Yeah, and this is just continuing that feud.
Candice LeRae is kind of on the stance of it was if no one would have found out, nothing would have come out of it. Yeah. It was fine. You should have let things lay the way they were.
Yeah. And of course, Nikki's crazy. She don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, this actually pretty good. It was a shorter match than I thought it was going to be, but
I still think it delivered.
I do too. I very much enjoyed it. So yeah. That was NXT. So got our final stuff. Give me your match of the week. I mean, there's really one choice, isn't there?
I mean, the War Games match.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Any fantastic. Of the matches from NXT Takeover War Games could be a contender.
Like, don't get me wrong, I really love that Gargano Black fight. That was probably going to be mine, and then War Games happened. And it's
any of those matches could have been match of the week. But you got to go with the most extreme one.
Yeah, and War Games was amazing. That was an amazing match anyway, so.
I love the War Games matches. They're so cool.
So good. Give me your... So then we have our best and our worst superstars of the week. Give me your best superstar.
Best superstar
Who had the best
of
week?
The week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. A lot of people ended up getting kind of dunked on this week.
Yeah, really. There's a lot more contenders for worst of the week than
maybe
for best.
Man, I don't know. We'll go. Go ahead and give me yours first.
I'll go with Charlotte Flair. She technically loses at Survivor Series, but let's be honest, she's kind of the winner coming out of that. She handles both the Iconics in one night, and sure, she gets beat up afterwards, but then she gets the upper hand in that brawl at the end. So
I was honestly also going to pick someone who lost. I was going to pick Daniel Bryan.
Oh, yeah. It's
because even though he loses at Survivor Series, he comes out of it winning, essentially.
Yeah.
And though he didn't actually have a match this week, I really like the direction his character's going, and that promo was really well done.
It really was.
And it's weird enough that it's not too weird. It's weird enough to catch people's interest, but it's not so weird that it's like, okay, this is obviously like bullshit. This is kayfabe. Like,
then give me your worst.
Where do I start?
There's a lot of choices here.
I want to say Revival, but I think I'm gonna go with Drake Maverick.
I'm actually gonna pick Drake Maverick and AOP as well.
Just because, like, not even necessarily AOP, because like, yeah, they're being dragged down with the ship, but they haven't done anything to like detriment themselves.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, there's no storyline with them other than what's going on with Drake Maverick. So I consider them as a package deal at this point.
Yep.
So yeah. And then I think we don't have a question of the week.
We weren't going to do a question this week because we had 2 pay-per-views to cover.
Yeah, so keep it a little shorter for you guys. So
all right, so that'll wrap it up. I'm Nick the Iceman.
And I'm your champ, Danny Marvelous.
We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.